9.1 is coming and there's lots of new things. Let's go take a look. Hello, Yav and Callie here, and today we're going to be looking through the new things that are coming in 9.1. This is going to be a combination of what are the new items coming in the actual patch, and how should we approach them through the first few weeks of the new patch sequence. First of all, we're going to start with something that's commonly missed, which actually is just a simple glossary of terms, and we're going to talk through in general where are we going, who we're going to meet, and what are the things we're going to be collecting. First of all, we'll cover the places we're going to be visiting in 9.1. This is primarily going to be spending a lot of time in a place called Korthia, which is a new zone located just to the south of the moor, and will be where we'll have our normal daily hub and lots of quests and new people to meet. Second of all, there'll be the new raid, the Sanctum of Domination, which is a 10 boss raid. Unfortunately, I don't quite know the entrance to that is yet, but it'll be somewhere down there, I suspect. And the third thing we'll have as a new zone is Tazabesh, the Veiled Market, which is a new mega dungeon in a similar vein to Karazhan from Legion and from Mechagon from Battle for Azeroth. And again, that'll be a 8 boss dungeon, fairly long, and not sure it gets split probably into Mythic Plus as part of 9.2. The people we're going to be meeting in 9.1 are largely split into two factions. The first of those is the Death's Advance, and that's a normal reputation from normal through to exalted, typically leveled up through some daily quests and maybe the story quests as well. The second faction is the Archivist Codex, which is leveled up by either gaining items out in the world or by doing quests again. This has 6 ranks, which is more akin to Venari from 9.0 than a standard reputation, but is still very much getting them out of reputation and you rank up to the next level. Also in 9.1 there'll be a lot of things we'll be collecting. These are largely split up into either currencies that you'll hold in your currency tab or items that you'll probably hold in your bank. The first one of these is the Catalogue Research, and that ties into how we level up the Archivist Codex previously mentioned. Secondly is the Korthite Crystals. These are legendary crystals that you'll find typically from daily quests within the Korthia, but also can drop from rares and from treasures by all accounts. Thirdly, there'll be Stygian Ems. Those again will come from, I think, the weekly event over in Korthia, but also drop from raid bosses in the Sanctum of Domination. Next, as we move over to Torghast, there are 2 things we'll be collecting in there as currencies. The first is Soul Cinders. Soul Cinders act very much as an extension to Soul Ash and will be used to be able to level up your legendary from rank 4 to rank 5 to rank 6. And lastly, there'll be Tower Knowledge, which we'll talk about later on as to what that actually applies to in Torghast. Right, now we're through the people, the locations and the things we're going to be collecting in 9.1. Let's talk about how we want to approach this. The way in which we're talking about this very much is the case that we'll be talking about week 0 as the first week of the patch, and week 1 as the first week of the new season where things like Mythic Plus and the raid and PvP season will start. We're also talking about this primarily from a power progression point of view. There are lots and lots of collectibles out there for you to be able to get to, but in this case our primary goal is to try and gain power and to make sure we can progress in those, those key areas that we want to try and move forwards in, whether they be in PvP or PvE. So patch day arrives, it's the 30th of June in the EU and it's week 0. What do we do first? Well, we pick up our weekly quests in our Covenant and then head off to carry on with the story. We want to unlock Korthia, the new zone, and obviously access to all those new lovely daily quests and such like. The other 2 key things we're going to unlock with carrying on through the story is the ability to be able to use mounts in the Moor and Korthia, and that's any mount, and also the ability to be able to remove the Eye of the Jailer from the Moor, and that just makes everything a little bit easier. Certainly if we need to go back there for other things or we want to actually try and grind for some of that Stygia, it just takes some of the pressure off. Secondly, we're going to want to unfortunately attack Torghast. Torghast is gaining an additional 4 layers in 9.1, taking the maximum layer from 8 to 12. It's going to be fairly important to be able to clear your way through these because from layers 9 to 12 you will gain Soul Cinders, which you'll need to be able to upgrade your legendary from rank 5 to rank 6. The other thing you'll get as you're working your way through is access to the Box of Many Things, which consumes the Tower Knowledge that we talked about earlier. This essentially is a skill tree akin to what we had with Visions in 8.3. So essentially, as you're working your way through this, you'll start to gain perks and powers that will help you in Torghast as well going forwards. And the third thing to approach in week 0 is everything else. There's a lot of interesting things in Corthy to be able to go and explore. You could certainly do some Mythic Plus to try and push those keystones up, ready for the next season. And also take the time to be able to go and grind those consumables in preparation for those early weeks in both the Raid and Mythic Plus. July 7th in the EU is week 1 of season 2. It's where things start to get interesting. In terms of the things you want to do first in that week, well, it's still the story. We still want to progress through and get our renown. The key unlock for this week is flying in those legacy areas. Through Bastion, through Ardenweald and so on. You want to be able to get flying just to be able to help get around and get those extra materials that you may need for flasks and pots and other things. The second thing to look at is the new season. The Sanctum of Domination raid is launched in both normal and heroic mode. There's the new Mythic Plus season with the new Mythic Plus affix, and the PvP season starts as well. All those things are going to be very time consuming and certainly something we're all looking forward to. Also during this week is the launch of Tazavesh as well, the new mega dungeon that's coming in 9.1, and that should certainly be some good fun too. Get a group together, put a bit of time aside and go and see what weird and wackiness there is within that new environment. And the third thing is Torghast. Obviously if you progress through to layer 12 then that's a good place to be. The 2 runs through will get you your maximum soul cinders, and you may want to go back either for extra tower knowledge or extra soul ash if you need that for creating new legendaries. If you're not at layer 12 yet, then again it might be worthwhile seeing whether the extra gear you've managed to gain in the week either from the raid or Mythic Plus or from PvP might just help push you along a bit. And certainly additional tower knowledge as you're getting it and adding it into that box of many things will certainly help those runs be a little bit smoother, a little bit easier. Week 2 of the new season is on the 13th of July in the EU, and it's largely a continuation of the approach from week 1. The first thing to do is to carry on with getting renown through restoring through the Covenant weeklies. The second thing will be to carry on with the Mythic Plus, the Raid and the PvP. It's worthwhile noting that the Mythic Raid opens in this week, as well as the Raid Finder Wing 1 as well. The Mythic Plus rewards are also at the maximum they're going to be as well, so it may be worthwhile doing a couple of extra keys that week to be able to help. The third thing to approach is Torghast, again for more soul cinders and that tower knowledge. Assuming that all the layers for Torghast have been open from week 0, week 1 and week 2, this will be the first week in which you can upgrade your legendary, potentially to rank 5, assuming you can find someone to make the base item and assuming you've been able to push through enough to be able to get to layer 12. This may not be the case as we're not 100% certain yet, but it's certainly something to look out for. Week 3 of the new season is on the 20th of July in the EU, and this again is a carry on from the previous weeks. Carry on with that storyline, carry on seeing where it's going, do those Covenant weeklies to get that renown. In terms of the other areas, the key thing here is actually this is the first week that you'll get your maximum reward from the Great Vault, so hopefully you did a couple of extra keys in the previous week. Torghast also will be there to be able to carry on with the Soul Cinders, and it's worthwhile mentioning that assuming we had access to layer 12 from week 0 through to week 3, this will be the first week in which you can make a rank 6 legendary, assuming you can find someone to find the base piece. And at this point the patch is in full swing. Hopefully this guide has been useful for you and helped you to talk through the myriad of things we've got to consider as part of 9.1. If there's anything in particular you feel is missing or you'd like to see for next time, please add those into the comments in below and we'll certainly consider them. Thank you very much and enjoy yourselves.